Terrell Barraclough. I said it right, I think. And tell me if
Yes,
I.
sir.
All right, there we go. So yeah, I want to chat with you a little bit. I think you have a really unique journey in the sport of wrestling, and you're wrestling at a high level right now, obviously for Utah Valley, but originally from Utah. You're four-time state champ out there. You wrestled at Penn State 4 years. Now you're back home and having all this success. For you, just curious how fun this has been and how important it is for you to be the face of a program like UVU and in your home state.
Yeah. I just, I'm part of my journey that, I would never change it. I loved my time at Penn State and I enjoyed every second of it, but it's tough. That room is tough. And there's a reason why every single guy, first or second guy on the team is that tough. And, I think it's a big reason why I'm here today as well, is because it wasn't like I was losing to my old teammates but it was just you can only send one guy to the national tournament. And at the end of the day, wrestling's just business, and you do what you got to do to win. And but like I loved every second of it. Coach Cal and Coach Cody and Coach Casey and Coach Jimmy, who was there at the time. It was so awesome. I mean, you just got to be surrounded by like legends every day. And I'm so grateful for them. And I still, you know, reach out to them every once in a while and just, check in and, because I just love those guys. But in terms of my journey here at Utah Valley now, it's like, dang, I got my shot, like
Mhm.
I got my shot. I've been waiting 4.5 years for this. I was competing against, my first year I was at 49. I was with Bo Bartlett, who's just a beast. And I was Levi Haynes, who's a beast, and then Mitchell Messenbreek, like who's also a beast. And hopefully I can wrestle him in the national finals this year. It'd be so sweet. I mean, I look up to Mitch a lot. I mean, just the way that he competes and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's like I got my shot, and it's so cool to have like Coach Hall here, they call it the Hall era. And it's like
Mhm.
I get to be a part of that. And it's been super cool to be able to not necessarily teach, because Coach Hall and all of our coaches, Timmy and Hawk and Coach Joey are doing a great job at that. And just their like high level. Um, but I've been able to be an example of showing our guys like how how we compete and what maybe Coach Hall, what his standards are for us. And you can see it. I mean, we've been together for what, almost 4 months now, and even I mean, we're just like starting to catch up, as a team. But man, I love it here. I mean, this is where I'm from. It's good to be 4,000 feet up in elevation. Everywhere else you go, you feel like you can conquer the
You can
world.
breathe.
But
Yep.
man, I love it here. It's been so cool, and there's definitely something special. Just such a cool spirit, and I'm excited. Just looking for the next thing.
What's it been like for you this season? Just, new location, new program, new coach. There's a lot of new going on for you. And
Yeah,
and like you mentioned, it's your time, you're the guy. So what's it been like for you so far this year?
yeah. I mean, I think it's really important to like take care of yourself because right when I left Penn State, it was like really hard and I had to, figure out what I was gonna do for school. And yeah, I mean I've lucked out to have some pretty cool. We have this thing here at UVU. It's like I'm trying to remember what it's called, but uh technically you have a person who helps you,
Hmm.
a mentor program. So when you come in to our program, whatever you're interested in, or it's just like a person who is successful and has made it, helps you through every step. So you can set up something with them every week and like meet with them. And, for me, I've been able to meet with a few people, and one of my really old friends from like Team Utah forever ago, we kind of lost contact out of high school, but his dad was a part of the mentor program. And I called him. I was like, Zach, I'm looking for a place to live. Do you know anybody? He's like, dude, I'm buying a house right now. You want to move
Hmm.
in? I was like, done. And he's my homie G. Um, but it's just people are the accommodation that I've had. I mean, my family's still here too. They're like an hour and 5 minutes away. So they're here and they're helping me, but just the people down here in like American Fork and Orem are just, I called Coach Hall. I'm like, hey coach, I'm looking for some internships, and wherever it may be, or it's just like, hey, I just need some help out with this, or need some mental work. And that's why I love Coach Hall. I called him. He's like, all right, done. Next day I met with like my mentor. Um, or even if it's just like a connection, I was looking for some like supplements just to try and help me out through like training and like during our weight descent process. And Coach Hall and good old Ben Kerr, one of the alumni here, knew the bucked up guys just right across the street. And I got to meet with like the gardeners, and they're like, hey, let us help you out. This is what we think. And then we have like our nutrition person, Chelsea, and she's like, all right, I would take this. I'd take this. It's just good connections everywhere. And like, if you put in, I feel like if the coaches see you putting in the effort, they're willing to, go the extra mile to help you get to where you need to be.
So talking about coach a little bit, what stands out to you about what he's brought to the room, brought to the team? Like, what's that culture like? He mentioned the word gritty when I was talking with him just a little bit ago. He said, I really want everyone to just be gritty.
Yeah.
Like, what do you see in that room right now?
Yeah, from what I see, especially the guys that I wrestle with a lot. I mean, I wrestle with Coach Hall and Coach Joey a lot.
Mhm.
And it's funny, they'll like rotate on me just to try and beat the crap out of me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. But um the guys are just like excited. Like that atmosphere of just like being excited to come to train and like go to work every day. And just, I mean, there's a couple of guys that you can see definitely out there on the mat that it's like, uh like when we wrestled them, or even Oklahoma State too. I mean, it was like overtime match for Bridger Ricks, and then Riker was behind at 57. He's not ranked, but he lost by like 2 points.
Mhm.
Just guys are getting better, and you can tell that they're like hungry, which I think is super important, and I am too. So they're pushing me as well.
What has been clicking for you so far this season? I mean, you've had a lot of success early on. You're undefeated. You beaten
Yeah,
multiple All-Americans, ranked wins. I mean, I think you're ranked in the top five now in your weight class. I mean, you're having a great season so far. What's clicking?
yeah. I think it's I've always been at the level where I have been, but like I said earlier, you can only choose to send one guy.
Mhm.
Um, but the thing that I've been really focusing on this year is just like being me, I guess. It's just like I get the chance to, and it's a lot my like last year in college, and I'm like, dang, that's kind of crazy, but like I get to go compete, I get to go wrestle like guys who I've watched, like he's a stud. I've watched him for the last few years, and I'm like, man, I want to get my chance at him. And, it's like, man, I finally got there's no more of this, no more college wrestling for me after this. And so I've just been like focusing on like what does Terrell do best? And, what can I do for 7 minutes that makes me an entertainer? Like at the end of the day, we're like, I like to think of ourselves as like gladiators. It's just you and this other guy out there, and you have an arena, just like kill, kill him. Yeah, I don't know,
Uh,
whatever they're saying, but it's just like what makes Terrell like entertaining, and I think Coach Hall expects that too. He's like, you just do you, man. like, yeah, we want to go out there and tech fall everybody. That's what we want to do. And, but for me, it's just focusing on, I know that if I can take care of myself and take care of Terrell and do what Terrell needs to do, then I can, um, I can help others to the best of my abilities as well.
For someone who might not have seen you wrestle before or isn't familiar with your style, like how would you define yourself as a wrestler? You said entertainer. I mean, that's
Yeah.
um, but just from a technical standpoint, like when you're clicking, what is it? What is it about your wrestling that's working that you want to hit?
Yeah. I just feel like, for me, like I have a system that I like to think about.
Mhm.
For all those like young wrestlers are out there, or even guys in college, who are young coming in, like have a system, have something that you like to do or helps you relax or helps you just enjoy what you're doing, because wrestling's already like super stressful. So it's like, and that's also something that's clicked for me. I had begun my freshman year, I was like beating top 20 guys, but I wasn't really, I had lost some matches, and then my junior year it was like, oh, okay. So for me, I just like have a system that I like to think about. Um, but if I could like describe my style, I would say that I'm just one of those guys that I just like don't quit. And I mean, we can go for 30 minutes. I don't care. Like I'm gonna keep coming at you for 30 minutes. And I like, that's something I've been really focusing on this year too, is just like trying to score in every position.
Mhm.
If I get on top, you're not getting away. If I'm on bottom, I'm getting away. If we're on our feet, I'm going to take you down at least 2 times. Just trying to always have like an open mindset to just like look to score points, because at the end of the day, if we want to like grow wrestling and want people to come and watch, like kind of like this last match, which was awesome against Oklahoma State. Like we wrestlers, we got to go out there and be willing to score, and yeah, it's kind of what I think about.
I want to go back a little bit to, that time at Penn State and you're thinking about, what's next for you. What was the decision making process for you to want to leave and come to Utah Valley? And, maybe what was that first conversation like with Coach Hall that you
Yeah.
know, how'd that all work together for you?
Yeah. So, I had, I with my old coaches, I was just like, man, I can win nationals. I know I can. Like I can be a national champ. And they knew I could, I could am that, I'm capable of that. And so when I had figured out kind of where things were lining up, I just was like, hey, I got to do this for me, and I just got to go out there and just let it rip one time. And like I said, Coach Kale. I still love Coach Kale. Like I still shoot him texts and stuff. But whenever that stuff happened, I saw that Coach Hall had, taken the
Mhm.
position. And I'm not even kidding you. That week where I hit the portal, got a call from Coach Hall. And he was like, Terrell, nah, I knew who Coach Hall was. I was like,
Mhm.
he was the high lays, I was like, okay, I know this guy. He's all, they took third at nationals. Like, I was like, okay. Um, and so when was coming home, cause I had to just like kind of get my stuff, uh, and just like move it back. And my parents were out because they were there for graduation. So they helped me move all my stuff back. And so I was trying to figure things out. I was coming here at Utah Valley training. I was going over with Coach Kyler Sanderson, where I grew up, training with
Mhm.
him. And then we set up a meeting with Coach Hall, and he came over to our house, and it was so cool. He came over and he was like, Terrell, like, I truly think this is the place for you. And he's like, he literally told me, he was like, I will do everything in my power to get you to be a national champ or get you what you need. And I said, all right, and I'm not the kind of guy like I don't want to be selfish, but he's like, this is what I can help you with. And I said, okay. So he comes to my house, and he has a sheet, like a couple pages, and it's an outline of every single week what we're
Mhm.
working on, who we're dueling, what we're gonna do, what we're focusing on, like my nutrition plan. I mean, it had everything. It was a booklet for Terrell. It was so, and he still has it. And just the way that we were gonna train, how we were gonna recover, what would I need to do, what do our off days look like, just everything you could think of. He's like, okay, well, like this after this weekend, we have 3 matches this Saturday. Okay, good weekend.
Mhm.
We're gonna have a break. We're gonna take it a little bit lighter this week. Okay, next week, Cliff King Classics, time to go again. Break. Yeah, I mean, it just had like everything in it, everything that like I needed to know to. I feel like if as like just humans too, we get anxiety from things that like we don't prepare for, or knowing that something that we didn't do to like be ready for that moment. And for me, it was like, I know my direction. Like I know what I need to do, like I know how I need to wrestle. I know what I need to eat. I know what I need to do for school. I need to know what, I had all these things that I had checked off. And and then another big thing for me was school. I think school is super important. And I wanted to get into, so I was an engineer at Penn State,
Mhm.
and then graduated from that, loved it. Super cool program. If anybody ever wants to go check that out, such a cool program. But I wanted to kind of move and like learn about business, learn about like how our world works financially. And I just asked coach, I was like, hey, do you think I have a chance of getting here? Not even kidding you. The same week, Coach Hall called the president of the school and was like, hey, we got to get this kid in. I mean, I got good grades, so it's not just putting a little, ignoring it, but
Yeah.
um, he like got me into school. And just like for school and wrestling, like I knew what I needed to do. And that was just like an indicator for me knowing, hey, I don't have to worry about, let's say I committed somewhere else, um, and I couldn't like get into the program that I wanted. I would have been like, oh, well, crap.
Mhm.
But that whole process for me, and even just in like my heart and mind, I was like, I have an opportunity to really network back home where I'm from. And not saying that I brought the community the coaches are doing that, they're doing that for us, and just like bringing all these successful people together and just like making a super team, like there's some crazy successful people around, and they're all coming to watch just wrestling. And you get to meet, and just in my heart, I just knew that this is where I needed to be. um and just like spiritually, and just, yeah, I was just like, and once I made my decision, something I've always been taught, once you make a decision, try and prepare your best to know what you want to do, and just like don't look back, because you don't want to have like second guesses.
Last thing I'll ask you, what are you most excited for, looking forward to during this upcoming season? I mean, obviously everyone has that NCAA tournament
Yeah.
circled, but even beyond that, is there anything that you're really excited about? Any matchups you're looking forward to? Any tournaments you're looking forward to, or just experiences that you're hoping to have throughout this next
Yeah.
year?
I try to take it like one match at a time. And I also feel like when we start looking ahead, we get anxious, and
Hmm.
just like, for me, like I never had the chance to wrestle every single match, and I was in there, if Carter or Mitch or Levi, had something going on, or um but like I was so eager to just like get out there every time. And so like every time I have stepped out there on the mat this year, I just am like so excited to just like be in and be there, and um as a wrestler, I just think it's super important to be excited, for like cool moments like that, and they go by so quick. And it's like next thing you're out of high school, and then you're out of college, and then life moves on. And but for me, it's just like, for me, I'm just so excited to be out there on the mat every time. And I respect like, excuse me, respect all my opponents too. I'd been watching them for 4 years, you know, and just it's like an honor to be out there on the mat with just like other super elite athletes, you know, and like Stanford guy and Amin, you know, they're multiple time All-Americans, and Garvin, like just
Yep.
studs, you know.